welcome to the Tojo Fitness Podcast today, where we're talking about healthy fats for healthy living, because fats are your friend.
Yeah, we're exposing fats to you today, so talking about the good, the bad and the ugly.
Ooh, don't want to be exposing ourselves too much, but we will expose the fats to you.
Yes.
They are one of the three macros. Fats are, along with protein and with carbohydrates, are the big three that you're going to be taking into your body in nutrition. Protein we looked at a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? Yeah. Protein is for repair. It repairs your muscle tissue. Very, very important, especially if you're working out. And we talked about carbohydrates, how carbohydrates are the fuel.
Yeah, the petrol for the engine.
To fuel your body.
Yeah.
And today we're talking about fats, which are a bit of a jack of all trades. They do everything, and they're a lot more vital than we think. Our modern society tends to look at fats and say, we want to eliminate fats. Fats are bad, therefore go and stand in the corner and never come back. But we want to rehabilitate fats a little bit today.
Yeah, I think one of these things that people often say is that, fats make you fat. And so we kind of want to break that down a little bit and just kind of expose just something of that fats actually don't make you fat. Eating too much does that.
Yeah. Too many calories make you fat. Fats actually are your friend. Let me do a little bit of a background into what fats are used for in your body. There's hundreds of different things that they're used for, but obviously the one that comes to mind is for cushioning. Now, some of you listening will be going, yeah, I've got too many cushions. That's okay. We want to get rid of some of those cushions. But if you didn't have any fats, I got down to 4.8% body fat earlier on this year. And I have to say, everything kind of just grouched a bit.
You rattled around a little bit, didn't you?
There wasn't much insulation either. I was cold most of the time.
Cold all the time. Even in summer you were cold.
Yeah, so that's part of what fat does. But more important than that, fats are part of the vitamin transport mechanism of your body. So we talk about having lots of vitamins and minerals and stuff, but without fats, your body can't transport those around to the tissues that need it and put them to work.
Yeah.
It's also a great energy source as well. Carbohydrates are an energy source, but fat is also an energy source. And of course, perhaps the energy source we know it most for is it's our reserve. And we carry our reserve around our middle or on our hips if you're a lady sort of person.
Yes, the reservoir.
Indeed.
The overflow system. And what happens is obviously if you don't use carbohydrates for fuel, your body will switch fuel systems and it will start on the fats, which if you are looking to lose weight, that's like one of the optimal ways of actually losing.
And if you're part of our peak nutrition program, you'll know that one of the systems we use is cutting carbs in the evening to force your body to burn fats overnight. But that's another subject altogether. Let me tell you some more things that fats are great for. Fats are great at suppressing hunger. If you have a meal which is just protein and carbohydrate, you'll feel hungry again very quickly afterwards. But if you add some fat to it, so for instance, if you have scrambled eggs, you tend not to feel too hungry afterwards. If you take the yolk out of the scrambled eggs, you're taking the fat out, now you feel hungry again.
True story.
Because fats in there tend to suppress the feelings of hunger. They're also great for your immune system, for your skin, as anti-inflammatories, brilliant for general health. So if you're particularly the omega-3s and omega-6s, and we're going to come to those a little bit. So that's just to put it out there. Fats are
They're not all bad.
friend. They're not.
They're not the villain of the eating world.
No. Why are they demonised then?
Yeah.
Well, in calorie-controlled diets, which most diets are, they're the easiest to axe.
Yeah.
And for this reason, they get demonised. So if I was to get a gram of protein, that would produce 4 calories of energy.
Same as carbohydrates.
Exactly, 4 calories of energy. Alcohol will produce 7 calories of energy. Fat, 1 gram of fat produces 9 calories of energy. So if you're trying to lose calories, if you're trying to cut calories, the simple person to cut is fat.
Yeah.
You know, if you're trying to get less calories, let's find something which is really calorie dense, like dietary fat, and let's get rid of it. Let's kick it out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when we do that, we create a whole cascade of problems which actually leads to fat gain, not fat loss. We'll talk about that later.
But one of the reasons, like one of the main reasons that dietary fat is demonised is because of the whole saturated fat issue. Because too much saturated fat, and saturated fat, you know, if you're doing a lot of takeaways, if you're doing a lot of McDonald's, if you're doing a lot of KFCs, etc., that is directly linked to coronary heart disease.
And we're going to explore that a little bit, because it's not as simple as it seems with saturated fats. Whenever we talk about saturated fats and heart disease, somebody will always say, yes, but my dad or my granddad used to eat lard or dripping on toast.
Dripping on toast. My nan used to eat that.
And they didn't die early. And we're going to talk about why.
Solid.
And how, if you want to incorporate saturated fat and your body needs saturated fat, you will die without saturated fats.
Everything in moderation, though, right?
How to incorporate it and stay healthy.
Yeah.
But as Joe said earlier on, the most important thing, takeaway from this, is fats don't make you fat. In actual fact, it's easier for your body to convert carbohydrates into fat and store it as fat than it is for your body to convert dietary fat into body fat.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why when you heard about our carbohydrate podcast, you would know that you need to eat the right amount of carbs, otherwise they will go into storage.
Absolutely. So go back and check that one out.
Listen. Yeah.
We saw then that fats actually don't make you fat. Excess calories make you fat, and simple sugars make you fat. If there is a demon, if there is something that should be demonized, it's simple sugars. You know, at Peak Nutrition, sugars are poison, and we want to get rid of simple sugars apart from the one opportunity, the one window of opportunity, which is immediately after
your workout.
A workout. So let's talk about fats. Let's talk about the good. Let's talk about the bad. Let's talk about the ugly. And I want to start by talking about saturated fats.
Yep, go for it.
So these are the ones which are solid normally at room temperature. Lard. They're also the tastiest.
Butter.
Lard, butter, cheese.
Let's just take a moment. We just said the word cheese. Like, you know, cheese... It deserves a moment of recognition.
Give some respect to the cheese. Now, saturated fats, we want to put a caution on these.
Yeah.
With Peak Nutrition, we don't say saturated fats, terrible, terrible, terrible. We add a caution label to them. They're certainly bad in large quantities. Because of the tendency of them to raise LDL cholesterol. So you know in your body, cholesterol is both good and bad.
Yep.
You have LDL cholesterol, which your body absolutely needs.
But it's not great, is it?
But too much LDL cholesterol can render you liable to heart disease.
Yeah.
Then there's HDL cholesterol, which is a good cholesterol. And HDL cholesterol actually counterbalances LDL cholesterol. So if you've got some LDL, bad LDL cholesterol, and you've got stacks of good HDL cholesterol, you don't have to worry about the LDL. So saturated fats are really only a problem if they're eaten in large quantities and you're not balancing them out in your diet with all the other things that tame them, that bring them into balance.
Yeah, so one of the things that does bring them into balance is actually exercise, right?
Yeah, sure. So coming back to when you think about grandpa who used to eat
dripping on toast.
That's the one, dripping on toast. Why didn't he die? Well, it was because of this. He didn't live a sedentary lifestyle.
Yeah, it was probably gardening.
So saturated fats are really bad if they're combined with a sedentary lifestyle. And our forefathers didn't live sedentary lifestyles. They were very, very active.
Yeah.
They are also bad only in relation to a diet that is rich in simple sugars. So if you have saturated fats, and this is some fairly new research, but if you get saturated fats and you combine them with simple sugars, which fast food is always doing, then you get a really toxic combination. So our forefathers, if you go back even further, traditionally speaking, we would eat quite a bit of saturated fat, but we wouldn't eat a lot of simple sugar. Neither did we have a sedentary lifestyle, which meant that saturated fats, the beef, the butter, the cheese, coconut oil comes in there, were fine. So we could eat them and get away with it. So if you're an athlete, and to the degree that Tojo clients are athletes, we'll always get them eating some saturated fats. The other thing to bear in mind about cholesterol, particularly LDL cholesterol, is that without it, testosterone takes a drop.
Right.
So for men, often a man will take a low-calorie diet and will cut out saturated fats. He'll also cut out a lot of carbohydrates. And the effect of those two things plus a low-calorie diet means his natural testosterone will plummet and he'll feel lousy. If you've been there, you know.
You know. When you know, you know.
So if you look at bodybuilders will traditionally eat quite a lot of beef.
Yeah.
So they get the saturated fats and the creatine that comes with the
Yes.
beef. So that is saturated fat. I'm going to let you talk about monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, which are the good guys.
So for those who know about their fats, monosaturated, mono meaning one bond, polyunsaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats meaning many bonds. So more than one. And you'll find these in ways of olives, peanuts, soybean oil. So especially the oils in nuts and seeds. Now we would actually label monosaturated and polyunsaturated fats as like a bit of a good moderate fat.
Yeah, they're great. So olive oil, we all know olive oil is good for you.
And I love olives.
Yeah, fantastic.
The Mediterranean diet, you know, when you've got olives in there, you've got some olive oil, like so good.
Canola oil is another good fat. So you can incorporate these fats into your diet. Now, the only point in which they would become a problem is because they still have 9 calories per gram.
Okay,
so you don't need much of them.
No.
And that's actually a good thing. So if you're having a meal and you're having rice, rather than getting rice from the Chinese takeaway, which is going to have loads of saturated fat on it, loads of salt on it. So if you were to get normal white rice even, or whole grain rice, and you were to put a little bit of olive oil on it, you've now got a rice which is actually really good for you, and the oil is really good for you. So getting rid of your normal cooking oils and using olive oil is one of the best things you can do for your health. Just keep a little bit of track on the calories here. It also helps with diabetes. So monosaturated, polyunsaturated fats, really good in lowering diabetes risk.
Reduce the risk of heart disease, but unlike saturated fats, monosaturated fats and polyunsaturated will raise the good cholesterol.
Yes, HDL cholesterol.
Yes, they will raise the good cholesterols. So, so far so good on the fat front.
Yeah, so we've incorporated a little bit of saturated fat is okay. It's fun, it's nice, it's tasty, it's actually good for you. But we're incorporating a fair amount, a moderate amount of monounsaturated and polyunsaturated to balance out our cholesterol levels and to give us this energy. And now we're going to talk about the bad guys.
Trans fats.
Otherwise known as hydrogenated fats. They are artificially produced fats.
So what people do is that they actually take the normal bonds of fats and they actually mess with the natural state of the bond to create the trans fat. Things that you'll find in McDonald's burgers, for example.
It's Frankenstein food. So margarine, absolute Frankenstein food. Don't eat margarine. One of the best things you can do for your health is...
my nannies used to eat margarine.
Use margarine to grease your bike or something like that, but don't put it in your mouth. My goodness.
No.
Pies, shop-bought pies, shop-bought pastry, shop-bought cakes are often full of trans fats, hydrogenated fats. Cream of XYZ soup, full of trans fats. And it is one of the most dangerous things you can eat.
Put in your mouth.
It's just incredibly dangerous. It's just eliminate it entirely. Get rid of it.
Things like, like your fried food, for example. If you're frying a lot of things, you've got one of those fryers at home, just be careful what you're frying in. Be careful how often you do that.
Yeah.
Things like crisps, they're fried. Obviously, crisps, if you do like crisps, try and go for like the baked rather than fried. Donuts.
Yeah, donuts often contain trans fats. Now, trans fats have to be labelled on nutritional labels because they're so dangerous.
They're red.
And I noticed, I think it was Marks and Spencer's said recently that they're eliminating all trans fats from all of their foods.
Really?
And increasingly supermarkets and food chains are eliminating these hydrogenated fats because they're so dangerous. So we want to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Don't touch them with a barge pole. They are poison.
They're just not natural. I think that's the thing, is the things that you eat that are natural.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be okay. Things that have been messed with are no longer organic.
Yeah.
That's when you're going to run into a little bit of trouble.
Sure. And one of the real good guys, as far as fats are concerned, that we talked about earlier, omega-3s.
Yeah, we're going to raise the level now. We're going to raise the level on fats. We're like cheering them on towards the finish line here.
That's right. And as you're coming into the finishing line, these little guys, the omega-3s and the omega-6s, come out from the pack and start racing towards the finish line to claim first place. And it's going to be omega-3s that cross the finish line first. Where do you find omega-3s? Oily fish is the best source.
Yes.
Salmon.
Oh, salmon.
Mackerel. Pilchards. It's in tuna, but not so much in canned tuna because they render it off there. But in fresh caught tuna, it's there.
Yeah.
It's in some nuts as well.
Yeah.
It is a fantastic fat. It is brilliant for your immune system.
Yeah.
It is brilliant as an anti-inflammatory. And most of our modern diseases are caused at the root by inflammation.
Yeah.
And it calms all that down. Omega-6s are really good for your skin.
But I like the wordplay you put there, that it's brilliant. It also makes you brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's good brain food.
Great for your brain.
Yeah, so if you've got kids and they're at school or they're at university, try and incorporate, and it's actually recommended that you have 2 portions of oily fish per week. But if you've got kids at school, try and incorporate this. Make it a little bit fun, because it's great for the learning brain.
Sure, and something like salmon, you can have it in so many different ways.
Oh, I put barbecue powder on my salmon.
It's so good. And you can do smoked salmon as well if you want to put in a sandwich and that sort of thing. So salmon, the thing is, of course, is that it is high in calories, but they are really good calories and it's good fats. So please try, get a couple of portions of oily fish into your diet each week. And if you're busy, it's ever so easy to grab a can. Those little cans of mackerel in tomato sauce and stuff, they're great. You can just pop the lid off those things and eat them. There's 12 grams of protein in one of those. Good protein hit, good omega-3s.
If you need some advice on doing a bit of meal prep during the week, perhaps you're a teacher, you don't have much time at school to do lunches, just one of those little tins of mackerel, they do spicy tomato, pop that in the microwave with a little bit of rice together, little bit of veg, that's done within 2-3 minutes.
Yeah,
it's good meal prep.
So we've made the case that for fat's an important part of our diet.
Yeah.
We need to put it in there, but how much should I eat? If I'm going to have it in there, how much is ideal? Well,
if you're looking ideal, we're looking at about 20 to 25% of your complete calories per day needs to be allocated to fats. No more than 35%. Oh my. So, and you'll know, you probably won't even notice if you go over the 35%.
No.
Because the amount of food that actually contain fat, if you were to actually really calorie count everything, you'd be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So about 20-25%, which is the optimal of your calories per day.
But if you're going up to 35%, that's okay as long as you're eating.
But as long as you're active too.
Yeah, if you're active.
Yeah.
If you've got if the fats you're eating are good quality fats, that's great. Not a problem at all. Now, what you want to do is make sure that you've got about no more than 10% of those fats are going to be saturated.
Yeah.
We want to keep that below 10%. We don't want to eliminate saturated fat, though.
No.
So, if you want to have a little bit of a beef every now and again, a couple of times a week, a bit of beef, that's very good, very nice for you. It's not going to kill you.
So here's an example for those who like a little bit of maths. If a person needs 1,875 calories per day at 20 to 25% of fat, how many calories would that be per day that you need to allocate?
Let me have a think about that.
Do.
I think it's between 375 and 469 kilocalories.
Wow, that's precise.
That's right, because I worked it out earlier.
That's
20
right.
to 25% is about 400 calories, which at 9 calories per gram means you're eating about 42 to 52 calories, 42 to 52 grams of fat a day.
Yeah.
So let's give you an idea of what that looks like.
So what that looks like is half a cup of cashews.
So that's actually not a lot, is it?
But here's the thing, people. When I say cashews, try not to get the salted cashews.
Yeah.
We're going to go for the natural cashews. Don't get them with salt. Don't get them honey roasted. Just cashews. 1.5 avocado.
Yeah. Avocado is a wonderful source.
Oh, avocado on toast is the food of the gods.
It's really good fats. But can you see how it's actually quite dense as a food? So 25% of your daily calories could come from just like half a cup of cashew nuts.
That's true. And 1.5
avocados.
What other examples? 3 tablespoons of peanut butter.
Yeah. Ooh. Peanut butter, if you're bulking as a bodybuilder, and I do this when I'm trying to put on muscle, and so I'm trying to add calories, sometimes you get to a point where you just don't want to be eating any more rice or any more chicken breast, but I'll add in a tablespoon or a teaspoon even of peanut butter into my protein shake and shake it up, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really, really lovely. Or 3 tablespoons of olive oil is about the same. So there's quite a bit of oil, but you think about 3 tablespoons of olive oil, that's your optimum amount of calories of oil in a day.
Yeah.
And you think that's not very much, is it, when you think about deep fat frying?
Especially if you're going to pop it into, like put it into a pan. If you're going to put some onion in there to actually fry the onion off, that's not going to go very far, is it? So let's look at this. If you're looking to diet, how much fat should you put in your calories?
Well, let's cut carbs first.
Yeah.
Once again, the easiest thing we do is we think we're cutting calories, let's get rid of the fats. What I'd suggest is you drop your fat calories down to about 20%, but cut your carbs first. Get rid of your carbs out of your evening meals and see if you can lose body fat whilst keeping your fats at about 20%. Now, the reason we do that is because they keep you feeling satiated. It slows digestion. You feel fuller for longer, so you're less likely to crave.
Yeah.
When you eat food which has some fat in it, the effect of fats, it slows down digestion. So let's say I eat some white rice. Now, white rice is a fairly simple carb. It's going to create a pretty big insulin spike. We talked about insulin last week.
Yeah.
And that has a potential for shunting that into fat storage. But if I add some fat to that, and I add some proteins, let's say I have a bit of chicken with it, and then I put some olive oil on my rice, all of a sudden now that rice is going to be very slow digesting. So although there's more calories and more fat, it's less likely to end up around my waist.
Yeah.
So this is the reason why dropping fats down and having a very low fat diet, you still end up with a tire around your waist. You can't get rid of belly fat. And there's a lot of people, they'll drop down to virtually 0 fat in their diet and still don't understand why they've got belly fat.
Yeah.
And they need to add the fats back in.
So we're going to just start rounding up now with regards to fats. What are the great dietary fats that we've been looking at today? Well, obviously oily fish, which is full of your omegas.
Yep. Avocados, a great choice of fats to put into our diet.
Yep, nuts and seeds, again, just making sure, just being very, very diligent and careful, just to make sure you don't get the added salt Obviously, honey roast options out there. Keep it clean. Nuts and seeds.
Nuts and seeds, obviously be careful of them because they do have a high calorie count. But so you can get some nuts and seeds, mix them up in a Kilner jar and get a teaspoon of them and sprinkle them on your cereal in the morning. We do this all the time, have different sorts of nuts and sesame seeds.
We do.
Very nice.
So olive oil, another good one.
Yeah, get rid of every oil in your house apart from olive oil if you want a simple nutritional win.
Yep.
Whole eggs. Whole eggs are actually a really good fat. I remember being told, and as we were in the 80s, that eggs were terrible and eggs were going to raise your cholesterol because the yolk is full of saturated fats. But there's a strange thing about eggs is that in every study that's been done, when people consume lots of whole eggs, their LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, goes down and their good cholesterol goes up.
Wow.
So there's something, and we don't really understand how it works yet, but we do know that whole eggs are really good for you. And for some reason, it's a saturated fat, which won't cause you to have heart problems, as is coconut oil.
Yeah, coconut oil is a really, really good replacement.
It's a saturated fat still.
Yeah.
But it's a saturated fat that doesn't cause problems for your heart.
Yeah, that's right. Low-fat yogurt.
Yeah, if you're looking for incorporating some fats into your diet, go for the 5%. There's no need to go for 0% always. Obviously 0% if you're really, really trying to cut calories and you're eating it late at night. But actually 5% is a great source of fat, and it will make the protein in there digest even slower. It's a great choice if you're going to eat something just before you go to bed.
Yeah. Because
you've got some protein in your system.
Yeah.
And the fats in there are slowing down the release of your protein. So long as it fits into your calorie macros,
is the thing.
That's fine.
This is the thing. And last couple, obviously we've mentioned olives. They're a really good source of fats. And lastly, tofu.
Yeah.
Tofu.
Very, very good source of dietary fat. So there we go. That's a very, very simple look at fats. We hope you've enjoyed that. We hope we've brought fats out of being the naughty boys standing in the corner of the room that we don't really talk about, but we have nevertheless a relationship with, but we don't talk about it because we're embarrassed about eating
Fats
fat.
are no longer that elephant in the room.
So what's our take home from this? Our take home is this: we want to be incorporating fats into our diet. If we have to cut some carbohydrates out in order to get enough calories to incorporate them, so be it. But we want to be putting in 20-25% of our diet as fats. We want to be avoiding the trans fats. We want to have a reasonably low intake of saturated fats and push up the monounsaturated, the olive oils, the olives, the avocados, the oily fish, getting the omega-3 oils in there, the whole eggs, the nuts and seeds, the olives, the tofu, the coconut oil, and so on.
Sounds amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you've enjoyed today on our little exposure of fats. This has been Tojo Fitness Podcast, and we can't wait to be with you soon. Have a great day.
Bye now.